All right. Apologies for that. I decided to put the intro on there just for the heck of it. I want to try to make this somewhat professional. So I saw that Jason Unruhe made a follow-up. He apparently made another follow-up, but I saw it and it wasn't that interesting. But I wanted to do this mention of a follow-up because I thought that this was absolute freaking cringe, dude. I did. When we get into the actual documentary, holy shit, we're going to dedicate a whole stream to that. That's the one I'm gonna do on January 2nd, depending on the time frame. Let me check right quick here. Yeah, let me see here. Yeah, the second is Saturday. Okay, yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, so Saturday, I'm gonna go ahead and stream, and we'll go through that documentary bit by bit because holy crap, it is a fair amount of cringe there. It's a fair amount of cringe that we're going to have to get through. So, be prepared for like at least 2 hours of solid me talking about it and watching through that bullshit. So, but I will bring up this short one, which is this follow-up that he gives, which is absolute fucking bullshit. At least in my opinion. It is, sorry. Okay. And hide that, and close that. Okay, here we go. Let's do it.
There will be a lot more to say about this topic that I wish to bring up. First, let me clarify, although all Euro-Canadians and Euro-Americans that ascribe to pan-European redemption and liberation from the white lie push...
Okay. Pan-European... and white folks who want to be separated from the white lie, the idea that white people created all the evil things. And white redemption, is this supposed to be like a white redemption arc? This is, okay. Who got to Jason Unruhe? Because I remember him doing a video, a long-ass fucking video. Like I say, Jason makes some weird shit. And I couldn't really make sense of all this, but it's like, how did he get involved with the Bundes in the first place? It's like, who contacted this fool? I'm dead serious. I'm like, who contacted this fool and started talking to him about this and about the Navajos? I'm like, who got to him? But yeah, he's gonna talk some wild shit right now. Go ahead.
Decolonization. Not all of those for pan-Europeanism embrace the idea of back to Europe movement, but all the...
I'm not. Let me just point this out, and I have said this numerous times. I'm not European. I'm not. You know, I don't have any connection with Europe. Europeans, if we want to use that loose fucking term, I have nothing to do with Europeans. This is like when I was talking with Dark Sinovia, and he had this jacked up idea in his head. Lord have mercy on that boy, or that man, I should say, probably, to say, oh, well, I'm Irish. I'm Irish. I'm not American. I'm like, come on, man. Don't say dumb shit like that. Everybody and their mama is going to say, you're an American. You know, you're a product of the American system, regardless of how people see you. I mean, this is the same type of shit that Huey Newton went through. Huey Newton, now, as far as I know, he went in like the 60s and 70s when African nations were still, you know, had thrown off a lot of a lot of the colonial powers, but not all of them. But Huey Newton himself went to Cuba for a while and then went to China. And so, then over a period of time, then he came back to the United States. Because at the end of the day, he was still an American. He's a product of the American system. And he can try to fool himself and be like, yeah, I'm African, bro. But it's like, unless you're a millionaire or a billionaire, Africans don't give a fuck. It's like, and Europeans probably wouldn't give a fuck if white folks came by. It's like, you're just another mouth breather, I hate to say that in such stark terms, but it's like, that's how they feel. It's like, they don't want you. It's the same. It's like, you hear this type of shit where it's like, oh, because of COVID and all this business that Americans are going to Italy and this and that. It's like, that's just, they don't want you. It's like that video I posted. It's like, American pig, go home. It's like, they don't want you. Europeans do not want us. They don't want Americans. It's the same thing that, and dare I say I get too wignut about this, but it's something that always comes up in my head. But it's like, if you think that, the Dutch want Boers and Afrikaners of those of Dutch stock, want them to come back, they don't want you. They don't want them. They don't want them to come back. Russia and Georgia will take them if they're Boers. Boers meaning that they are farmers and that they've had, a few generations that they've learned. Yeah. Russia or Georgia will take them. But to think that their native countries will take them back, no. And why would European countries want masses of Europeans? This is the most stupid. This is literally some bass-ackward sort of Marcus Garvey type shit. And I know I talked a lot about that, but he's going to continue to talk about this shit. And I figure I'd give y'all a preview. Holy crap.
Those that ascribe to the back to Europe count as part of the greater concept of pan-Europeanism. So let me clarify.
Pan-Europeanism is not a thing. This is something that, like I say, Richard Spencer talked about this shit. All sorts of Wignats used to talk about this shit, but they finally realized, yeah, we're American. They don't want us. There's some LARPers out there, but it's like, no. I'm sorry, Wignats destroy the idea of pan-Europeanism. Pan anything is cringe. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Go ahead.
Clear up any misunderstandings. Those of us that push for back to Europe do not attempt this via coercion. A back to Europe movement would be done via political proselytizing. This is already...
Okay, what the fuck does that mean? Political proselytizing. The hell does that mean? Do you mean that you're going to say, oh yeah, we need to go back to Europe? We're going to, it's like, are you going to pressure, Prime Minister Trudeau to get you to go back to Europe? It's like, and go back to which country? Germany? I don't think they want you. The UK? They can't. They've got their own problems with Brexit and trying to keep their own economy afloat. France? I don't get it, Bacon. What European country would realistically, after the migrant crisis back in 2015, why would they want to take European descendants, of Canada and of the United States back to European? No, they don't. I can tell you right now, they don't. If you think that Ursula von der Leyen wants to do that, no. If you think Angela Merkel wants that, no. They don't want anything to do with us. They are breaking off ties with the United States. Because Donald Trump, for all his failings, and like I say, I'm repeating what other people have said, but I think it is true, though, is that Donald Trump made the European Union realize, hey, World War II is long over. And, the threat of the Soviet Union is gone. And we have, a stronger union going on right now. Why the fuck do we need the United States? And they say, the United States is a sinking ship. And we'd rather make deals with Russia and rather make deals with China than ever have to deal with the United States again. Why? What have they given us? Shitty food, military buildup, rape, in places like Korea. I mean, why would they want Americans and dare I say it, the messed up, nasty culture that we have to go back to Europe? No, they don't want us. I'm sorry if that's my only argument, but no, I can tell you right now, if you ask any European and ask them point blank, would you be okay with thousands of Americans, possibly millions of Americans of white stock, of European stock, being sent back to France? They'd say, hell no. They'd say, no, we don't want those American pigs. We don't care if they still speak French. No. Nein, we do not want them back. Nein, niemals. Niemals. So no, it's just so retarded. And let's continue.
Happening and has been happening for more than 10 years now. PSFM has no plan to expel all Europeans from the USA and Canada. Comrade number 3 himself has an Italian girlfriend.
What the fuck does that have anything to do with it? Okay, is she actually is she straight off the boat from Italy? Or is she like a New Jersey Italian? What sort of Italian do you mean, Megan? I just don't get it. Well, I haven't. This is always a thing. This is always a thing when you really get into the race issue. And this goes on both sides too, with the real supremacists, the real race supremacists versus the folks who are really against it. They'll always have a girlfriend not of their own. You'll always find that, and it's just, it just feeds into the bullshit, doesn't it? Go ahead though. I mean, nobody cares if this guy has a Italian girlfriend or not. It's just fucking stupid. Oh, well, they're not going to kick, whites out, but they will have sovereignty. It's like, a lot of this is just a rehash of what I talked about with Dark Synovia. Somehow he got his head all screwed up and thinks that somehow decolonization. It's like, you guys haven't even won a battle yet, and you're coming up with plans? You need to come up with a battle plan first, and come up with some sort of strategy to get people on your side to join your military before you try any of this type of BS and talking about decolonization. You're putting the cart before the horse. I mean, think about it. Jesus wept. Go ahead.
PSFM is led by Navajos, which it includes all peoples. No matter what, the sovereignty must be restored to the natives. I mean, come on.
Okay. This is a straw man, because there are more tribes than the Navajo. There are literally thousands of other tribes that you can bring up. Okay? You have the Comanches, the Kiowa, the Squamish, the holy shit, the Cherokee, the Creek, the Alleghenies, I think is actually a tribe. I mean, you could go down the list. It just doesn't. Oh, I don't get it. I really don't get this whole idea where it's just like, well, this one tribe is a monolith, and it's just. Now I could tell when I brought that up to Dark Synovia, he's but he couldn't answer me about these other tribes because like some tribes are in it for the money now. Some tribes are making good money from casinos, and yeah, those are subsidized, but still they get millions of dollars. And I'm going to continue to bring this up because nobody has given me a significant answer as to how that's going to work out.
Guys, comrade number 3 literally said, "We are all one," in his good morning prayer at the end of the documentary, which...
We are all one. I mean, that's called propaganda. That's called lip service. Oh, we're all one. It's like, I would believe it more from a legitimate Christian than I do some other group. It's like, no, it's going to depend on how useful you are. The useless whites who are racist and everything else like that, those are the ones that are going to be killed. The ones that are willing to play the game are going to be kept on. Let's be honest. Go ahead.
Literally was not monetized and was blocked in certain countries in the world.
Okay, this is Cope right here. Nobody gives a shit that is monetized. Nobody. Nobody cares. Oh my gosh, I didn't make money from this. Oh, no. Who cares? Nobody cares about that. It's like, you think that somehow that it absolves you of things because it wasn't monetized, it doesn't matter. I'm going to have to look through that LARP, though. I'm going to have to look through that LARP and cringe, because holy shit, I think even I can make something better. And that's saying something, but yeah, continue.
Now, Dr. Weisfeld of the Bundes movement has more credentials than any of us on social media. Dr. Weisfeld personally knew Stokely Carmichael and Yasser Arafat.
That's anecdotal. Oh my gosh. He knew Stokely Carmichael, a.k.a. Kwame Ture, and he knew Yasser Arafat. Oh my gosh. Nobody cares. Once again, I don't care that he knew those folks. That's like saying, well, I knew Malcolm X. Okay. The fuck can you do for me? You know, it's like I worked alongside them. Okay, then maybe I'd take more respect. But it's like, oh, I knew them. That's like saying, oh yeah, well, I met, you know, that's like saying, well, I met, I don't know, Gal Gadot on set. It's just nobody cares. So that's my only response to that. So.
Dr. Weisfeld, along with the other Bundes, correctly proclaim that the state of Israel needs to stop existing as it threatens the existence of both Palestinians and Jews. How many Americans hypocritically say one Palestinian state solution, yet these same hypocritical Americans...
What did Canadians say? See, it's always funny where it's like Jason will... It's like, I guarantee that Jason will make 10 videos shitting on the United States. Fine. Shit on the United States all you want to and say that the United States government is awful, blah, 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 blah. Okay. But then we'll make like maybe 2 or 3 videos about his own nation of Canada. Why is that? You know, I mean, that's my take on it. Maybe that's just me, you know, drinking haterade, but it's like, why is it that you don't talk about your own nation as much, bro? I just don't get that shit. It's like, I don't get it, man. Go ahead.
Americans would never say restore the Americas to those we stole the lands from. This because those that pull such shit are not against Zionism, or rather they just hate Jews.
Rather they just hate Jews. Oh. And no talk about the evangelicals, this and that more specifically, but he instead just says, well, they just hate Jews. It's just like, okay. It's just like Jason will never stop being a LARPer. It's like I LARP sometimes, but it's like I realize that. I realize at the end of the day, I just want to make this clear, is that people like me are just going to be followers of something else. But we're going to try to avoid the bullshit. And we realize that dumb crap like, well, decolonization is ridiculous. How are you going to decolonize and get all these white folks or whoever else to join the Navajo? Oh, it's like, okay. How much land did the actual Navajo have? Okay. You think the rest of the native tribes are going to be like that and say, yeah, we'll all get along? No. They're going to be like, fuck you. We're going to do our own thing. So this is just, like I say, this is bad on so many levels. It's like, okay, from a strategic point of view, how are you going to get the rest of these people on your side? It's the same thing that I say about the Israel-Palestine conflict, as I've said many times, and I still believe it, is when you want to look at the issues of Israel and Palestine, look how many people who claim to be on Palestine's side and sold them out. Whether that's the leaders, whether you want to talk about Syria, Jordan, Iraq, Iran. You can feel as you want to about them today, but it's like, Egypt, they all have a lot of beef with each other. The UAE making deals. It's like, look, it's a complicated fucking issue. And to simplify to just say, oh, we don't like Palestine, or we don't like Israel, so we're going to... Israel is going to find another sugar daddy. After the United States falls, they'll simply get support from China. Or they'll simply get support from some other European countries, like as they're already doing. So I don't really get this type of shit where it's just like, oh, well, they just hate Jews. It's like, bro, it's such a bigger issue than that. And it's like, this is literally big brain guys who just think that they have some sort of strategy. This is never going to happen. Okay, I'm going to tell you that right now. Decolonization on a national level is never going to happen. All right, I'll just tell you that right now, because a lot of tribes are made up of folks that look pretty white, and they have financial folks, they have folks that take care of their property, and all this other stuff. So they become more Caucasianized, if you want to put it that way, more so than a lot of other folks. So I don't really get this. This is just imagined justice, where it's like, well, if we, go ahead. I can't.
Wrote a book called The Federation of Palestinian and Hebrew Nations. Now, to be fair, not everyone in the Bundesmovement embraces this book, but everyone in the Bundesmovement agrees that the book is a great proposal for a real peace process. With all of that being said,
because I remember he made a video, I think last year, or maybe it was earlier this year, where he was talking about, oh, well, the Bundists have supported Hezbollah and all this sort of, it's like, okay, so it's like, how much influence do the Bundists really have? That's the real truth of it. It's like if people like you bring it up, and it's just like they have all this internal sort of beef going on, nobody cares about your bullshit. Nobody cares about your silly little ideas. Nobody cares. I don't get this. I would love to, if I bet, Jason Unruhe probably will not notice me because I don't comment on his stuff, but it's like, if he does see this video, I would love to have a conversation with you, Jason. I would love to, and ask you, how in the world how did you get tied up into this nonsense? How did you get tied? It's the same thing with talking about Aslan, this and that. Aslan is not going to, it's not going to be the way anyone thinks it is. And it's like, that's what I was trying to tell the Dark Synovia. It's like, well, war is like that. It's just, that's an empty platitude. And it's like, if I was more intelligent, then I would be able to say it, but you can't argue with a brick wall. And that's what it was. It was talking to a brick wall. And there are so many people that you will meet who are just brick walls. They don't want to hear anything until a sledgehammer meets them or a wrecking ball. And then they're just like, oh, now I see it. But, unfortunately, all I have is just a little hammer and a chisel. That's all I have in terms of maybe mental ability or, rhetorical ability. So that's my fault. But still, go ahead.
I have learned that Comrade Nat is writing a book on decolonizing the U.S. and Canada based on his material and cultural knowledge, which is very accurate. Comrade Nat is writing a book on the restoration of native sovereignty in coexistence with the New Africa and New America.
Okay, once again, when you talk about, the New Africans are going to work, I've seen LARPy streams like this where it's like, oh, well, actually, the New Africans and the natives are going to work together. It's just like, no. It's like, you talk about essentialism. I've seen that used unironically, where it's just like, don't talk about essentialism. I've seen that particularly in American Johnson streams, non-compete streams, where it's like, I'll say something about, oh, well, this is how they see Indians in Africa. That's essentialist. Stop promoting essentialism. It's just like, that's actually what they think, though. And it's just like, oh, we don't like it. It's just tone policing and all that type of shit, where it's like, what makes you think that somehow, oh, well, they're just going to get along. Oh, these oppressed people will all get along. No. Some people will be, to think that all oppressed people, just because they've all been under the same boot, are going to get along is ignorant, number one. And number two, you don't understand a people's culture. If you think somehow that, it's like saying, oh, well, all the Asians know each other and they all like each other. No, they don't. Chinese hate the Vietnamese. Filipinos hate the Chinese. It's like, Chinese hate Japanese. They all hate one another. It's like, people think that there's this mistaken idea, I think, that exists, where people just think that only the United States was a racist nation. And that is just the most retarded fucking thing I've ever heard. And I do unironically think that people think that, where it's just like, oh yeah, well, only America is racist. China has never been racist, or any of these other countries have never been racist against people. It's like because the West, the United States or the United Kingdom, Britain, because they did blackface, that makes them worse than other. It's like I don't get it. I don't. Holy shit! I mean, where do you come up with LARP like this? It's just like, oh yeah, well, decolonization is what we need to go for. You're going to lose out. Okay, people like you are going to be sitting in the corner playing with, with Legos, while the grown-ups are going to be the ones that are going to be talking about, okay, this is the line that you don't cross. Okay, these are the businesses we're going to have, et cetera, et cetera. And, financial folks, accountants, economists, and everything else, and diplomats are going to be there, sitting there. It's not going to be done by people like you. And I know that's not just some appeal to authority. No, it's people that actually do this shit for a living. Not LARPers like you who dress up in a faux hawk and, do news for Iranian TV. It's not going to be people like you. It just isn't. And it's not going to be people like Abraham Weitzfeld, who probably nobody has ever heard of. Or the Bundes that nobody has ever heard of. It's like, no. You actually have to get people on your side. And so far, you can't do that because you're too LARPy. You live in this fantasy world where it's just like, oh, well, we're all going to get along. Nobody. It's like, it's just, oh. Go ahead. I think I've pretty much beaten that dead horse. Let's continue.
America would not be white. It would be an accommodation for the 20th century wave of refugees that came to the Americas. New America would be multicultural with the aims of socialism.
Okay. So it'd be the United States with socialism. Like, once again, I've said it before. I said it already in this, but this is putting the cart before the horse. It's like, well, we've already made plans. America's going to be a multicultural thing, but we're not going to use the flag that's killed more people than the Confederate flag. It's just like, okay, that's all nice to say, but it's like, this is literally kumbaya type stuff. This is literally like kumbaya. Let's all hold hands. We all need to. No. There's always going to be groups with agendas. Whether it's like, I just say this out loud, just thinking about it, but Armenians, the Hispanos, the, Chinese or Japanese or, whoever else, whatever other groups out there, the Puerto Ricans, it's like, bro, they're all going to want a piece of the pie. To think somehow that the United States is going to hold as one nation is idiotic. It is. It's idiotic. But nobody can predict where the lines are going to be. It's just, golly. Go ahead.
It would not be the United States. This new America would use the United States civil flag instead of the more familiar Stars and Stripes flag marked by more genocide than the Confederate flag.
Okay, so number one, I don't care about whatever bullshit flag. See, this is part of the problem. This is what I was talking about, aesthetics versus reality. And I think Vosh is kind of on the same page as I am, maybe. But it's like people get so worried about the aesthetics. It's like, let's get a flag and let's worry about, holding hands and all these other minorities in the United States. Let's all hold hands and we're gonna make a better country. It's like to think that nobody except whites has really profited from the system is just utterly ridiculous. And it's like it's falling into the same fallacy like, oh, well, the Jews control everything. No. There are plenty of other folks who made their money too, whether they're Indian, whether they're Indian, whether they're white, whether they're whoever. But it's like, it's just idiotic. It is. It's just idiotic to believe such stuff, and just ignorant.
Now, this idea from Comrade Net is just a proposal like Dr. Weisfeld's book on the Binational Federation of Palestine and the Hebrews. These are proposals, just as Back to Europe is a proposal. These ideas need to be explored and debated as a part of the decolonization conversation, which has to be led by the Fourth World natives, not we First Worlders who illegally occupy this land. Nope.
Fourth Worlder natives. See, once again, though, I mean, you would give the argument though that even the natives aren't native to the United States. That's the whole thing. They cross over a land bridge, but because they've been, like I say, and that's not even me defending America, but it's like if you want to be intellectually honest, I just this is just virtue signaling. It's like, well, we feel guilt because of what happened to the natives. Like, yeah, I used to feel that way too the first time I went to college, but no, I've grown up now, and it's just like, look, it's a fucked up system for everybody. And I know that that's probably, just empty appeals to authority or whatever you want to say. It's me, apologizing, for white people or something. But it's just pitiful. This is not going to happen in any universe. In any alternate universe, it's never going to happen this way. I'll just tell you that right now. It's never going to be as clean cut as people like you make it. I feel sorry for this. I do.
Well, both Mason and Net have this idea of New America using the United States civil flag, rebranding it the New American flag, but their ideas on this are radically different. Net credits Mason Steiner as the original author of this idea and warns that his way of doing this would be radically different from Mason's way on many levels. With all of that, myself, Mason, and Net all embrace revolutionary intercommunalism, and so should you. Maybe with this, Comrade Net will return to social media.
Oh boy! So this Comrade Net guy was apparently talking with fellow traveler, I guess, and said something like, I think circumcision is okay or something like that. And then Jason Unruhe just went to his defense and was just like, well, he was just a little bit off. It's like, what was he high or something? It just sounded so stupid. I'm just like, what the fuck is this dude talking about? Okay. All right, how much time did I waste on that? Hold on. How much time did I waste on that crap? Holy crap. Okay, there we go. Okay. Let me see. What in the world was that crap about? Okay. Oh, so that's an intro to that shit. I spent 32 minutes going through something that was 4 minutes long. That tells you how long it's going to be for me to... okay. I hope y'all enjoyed that. And use this as an intro, as an entree to the feast that we are going to have dissecting that documentary that apparently Dead Man Productions and somebody else made. Oh man, it's going to be lovely. Okay, I hope y'all enjoyed that. See you later. Goodbye.